I'm Dr. John. This is your Maintenance Minute. We're going to talk about a process today. It may be one that you've never heard about. And I'll be honest, I didn't hear about this till probably 8 or 10 years ago. I was working to help build a storeroom. This was a storeroom that didn't exist. It was just a plot of land, storeroom manager, and he had a couple of sort of storeroom technicians or clerks, and they were working in a mobile trailer. They're building the plant, didn't have a storeroom. It's the craziest operation you ever saw. But anyway, that storeroom manager and I were sitting there talking about processes and things to measure and those kinds of things. And he mentioned this last used report. And I'll be honest, I had never heard about this. So I asked him, what is the last used report? And he said, it's essentially a listing of parts that haven't moved in a while, for whatever period of time you want, but they haven't moved for a while. And it sort of is a running tally of how many days there's been no movement on that part. And I said, well, that's interesting. Tell me kind of what you use it for. He said, well, first of all, just keep in mind, it's similar to backlog management for work orders, where the planner and maintenance leadership and production leadership should come together once a month to take a look at the, work orders, the age of work orders. And because we want to make sure, none are out there for 180 days or whatever your particular standard is. I'm going to get the work orders done, right? So I've got to pay attention to the age of these work orders. So this store manager said it's kind of similar to that. What it does, John, he says, is it aids in the obsolescence process. Because if I'm issuing on a regular basis, let's say a monthly basis, this last used report out to maintenance and operations and safety and all the other agencies in the facility, if I'm issuing this report out to them regularly, and when it comes time to ask the question, hey, is this a part that you need or is this an obsolete part, I don't have to now convince them that it's something that had moved for a while, because they've seen this for several occasions, because I've been mentioning this for months and months and maybe even years. So it aids in obsolescence because we've had the conversation, because I'm issuing this document on a regular basis. So you've seen this several times. It shouldn't be a surprise when it's on this obsolescence list. So what makes this last used report? I mean, surely we're not putting stuff that hasn't moved in 2 days, right? No, it's just stuff some arbitrary value, and I just picked 400 plus days. This is a very important period of time for me, because I did this one time, and the client said, well, actually it was 360, a year, 365, and the client said, John, what if we don't use it but once every 3 years or something? And I said, okay, pick 400, so days, right? So we picked 400. So you pick an arbitrary date. 400 seems to work. If a part hasn't moved in 400 days, it goes on this report. And so this gets issued out every month, right? Of all the parts, everything on that page has not moved in 400 plus days. And of course, as 30 days go, we add 30 days to everything, right? More things come on the list. So at some point we sat down as a group, like the store stock committee, and we discuss, hey, we need to get rid of some of these items that aren't moving. Or at least, look, we haven't used one in 5 years. Can I reduce the inventory? We got 25. Can I get rid of like 10 of them? We haven't used one in 5 years. So again, it's that communication, it's that conversation. I had not heard about this process till probably, it's probably been a decade since I heard about it. But it's called Last Used Report. It's a communication tool for the storeroom to say, hey, I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but this part hasn't moved in 400 plus days, and we're going to keep that tally. So when we talk about things we can reduce in our inventory, either get rid of completely. Because here's something that we should consider too. That part's been sitting on that shelf for 400 days or 800 days or whatever it ends up being. It hasn't gotten better. It hasn't gotten more reliable by sitting on that shelf. It's become a little bit more suspect, and that's based on our ability to take care of it while it's in the storeroom. Very, very, very likely you've never heard of this. 100% chance you've never done this. But I'll tell you what, folks, this is a game changer between like a really good storeroom and a world-class storeroom, this communication tool. I suggest you get it. Works great every single time. I'm Dr. John. This is your Maintenance Minute.